Okay, so just ahead of the Eagles matchup with Buffalo, Darius Slay sounded off on Josh Allen and the Bills offense, and it seems like he knows the Birds defense is in for a tough test, but nonetheless, him and the guys will be ready. And someone else we hope will be ready is DeVonta Smith, as he had an injury scare just days before the game. And speaking of injuries, slot cornerback Avonte Maddox was originally expected to be out for the rest of the season, but now after Nick Sirianni gave this shocking update, it seems that may not be the case anymore. Plus, Sirianni also responded to the recent criticism he's been facing, and he also clapped back at the hate offensive coordinator Brian Johnson has gotten. And finally, Howie Roseman just released one of the last remaining members of the Eagles Super Bowl winning team, and recent reports are suggesting that it could have been to make room for this former All-Pro. So we're going to talk about all that and more news in this video today, so let's not waste any time and get straight into it. So heading into the Eagles matchup with the Bills, they have a golden opportunity, as with the Lions dropping their Thanksgiving game to the Green Bay Packers, that puts the Eagles 2 games ahead of the next closest teams in the NFC in the win column, and a win this week would give them a full 2-game lead for the top seed in the NFC. So talk about a crucial matchup, this is it. Because we know how tough the Eagles' schedule is right now, and getting a 2-game cushion at this point in the season would be absolutely huge. So to do that, the Eagles gotta take down the Buffalo Bills, who can be a very tough team. Luckily, it seems like the Bills have already done what they can to curse themselves, as during practice this week, the team was seen blasting Rocky music before they headed to Philly. Which, I mean, every time an opposing team or fan base messes with Rocky, whether it be the statue or just in any other way, things don't tend to go well for them. But I guess the Bills didn't get the memo. Or as Gerald Johnson Jr. on Twitter put it, I guess they don't know about the Rocky jinx.
You wanna know? I wanna know!
So I guess we'll see if the Bills end up being the next team to fall victim to the curse. But more seriously, just looking at things on the field, the Eagles no doubt are in for a challenge, and specifically defensively, the Birds really need to hope they can carry over their performance from last week into this week, because the Bills have some weapons on the offensive side of the ball, and that starts with their quarterback Josh Allen, and Eagles cornerback Darius Slay spoke to that on Friday.
He got a great ability to stand in the plays. He do a great job keeping his eyes down the field. But yeah, man, he's like to me, I play with Stafford. He's like a faster, athletic Stafford. You know what I'm saying? Guy that with strong arm, believe in his arm, can fit it in any hole. Pause, great quarterback. Keep his eyes downfield. So
obviously, like Slay said there, Allen is a fantastic player and a great QB who has the capability of beating you in a multitude of ways, but you also heard there with the reporter asking him that second question, Josh Allen's also a guy who's going to take some chances. I mean, he's going to throw some 50-50 balls, and like Slay said, that could give the defense more opportunities to take the ball away, but it could also end up beating the defense really bad, so Slay and the defense are going to need to capitalize on those opportunities that Allen gives them to take the football away. I mean, we obviously saw last week that ended up being crucial in them beating Kansas City, so this week, again, against a guy like Allen, who we know will turn the football over at times, I mean, he's leading the NFL in interceptions right now, the Eagles defense has to capitalize on their opportunities that they get to take the football away. And that starts up front with the pass rush, because we know if those guys can get home, that makes the guys on the back end's job a lot easier, and in turn, it creates more opportunities to create turnovers. And one guy up front who will look to contribute to a dominant effort on Sunday is somebody who's been doing it for a long time in Brandon Graham, and he's been doing it so long, in fact, that in this game against the Bills, Brandon Graham will set the incredible record of the most games played by an Eagle at 189 games. So congrats to BG. What an honor that is, and he definitely deserves it. He's been such a huge part of this team for so long. He's been a leader, he's been a great person, and he's consistently played well and came up big in some huge moments. Of course, none greater than his legendary game-winning strip sack on Tom Brady in Super Bowl 52 that was recovered by Derek Barnett. But speaking of Barnett, his time with the Eagles has finally come to an end after 7 years with the organization, as on Friday, Howie Roseman decided to officially waive Barnett, and honestly, I feel like we could have seen this coming. I mean, Barnett hasn't done much of anything this year, and the past 2 games he didn't play, as he was listed as inactive against Dallas, and then he was out versus the Chiefs for what was called personal reasons. I mean, the writing was kinda on the wall for a guy who, after his rookie season, really was a disappointment of a first-round pick. Now, I'll always be grateful to him for recovering that fumble in the Super Bowl, which will remain one of the greatest plays in Eagles history for the rest of time, but I'm kind of glad that he's gone at this point. If I'm being honest, he wasn't really doing anything for the team, and I kind of just think it might have been the right move for both sides.
Well, what can I say? It's been great knowing you, SpongeBob. Good luck somewhere else.
Now, this move does 2 things for the Birds. One being it opens up even more opportunities for the rookie Nolan Smith, both in practice and also in games, as the Eagles hope he will eventually develop into a star, but it also opens up a roster spot for the Birds, and many people have actually speculated that the whole reason for Barnett's release is so that the Eagles can go out and sign recently released former All-Pro linebacker Shaquille Leonard, and we had talked about this earlier in the week, but since then, some more news has come out linking the Birds to Leonard, as Chris Franklin reported on 97.5 The Fanatic that he believes at this point the Eagles are the favorites to land the 3-time All-Pro. Now, as I had said in that video a couple days ago, I think adding Leonard would be a great depth addition with Nakobe Dean out for an extended period of time, and Shaq Leonard has obviously played at a superstar level before, and even though he may not be that player anymore, he could still come into this team and contribute in the locker room. Maybe they could put him on special teams and he'd be a valuable asset there, and if one of the Eagles' 2 linebackers unfortunately goes down with an injury, he can come in and be more than serviceable. So can Howie Roseman pull off this signing? I don't know, but drop a like down below for Howie literally being in on every single possible move he could make to help the team get better. Also, let me know whether you think the Eagles will sign Leonard down in the comments. Now, regardless of whether they actually sign him or not, it's not going to affect how the game day roster looks this week, which, speaking of that, the Birds released their final injury report for the Bills game on Friday, and there's quite a few names on it. Grant Calcaterra is going to be out with the ankle injury that he suffered versus Kansas City, leaving the Eagles even more thin at tight end, with Dallas Goedert obviously still out, although we did get another promising update on him, as Josh Tallentino reported, quote, Eagles tight end Dallas Goedert continues to trend in the right direction with his fractured forearm. Goedert just wrapped up a cardio workout, chatted with him now in the locker room, and he seems to be in great spirits, indicated he's healing quicker than initially expected. So that's obviously great news, and it really is seeming like Goedert being back for the second matchup with Dallas is a real possibility. But then continuing on with the injury report, Justin Evans continues to be out with his knee injury, which it seems like he may have actually suffered a setback because he didn't practice at all this week after he was limited ahead of the Chiefs game last week, and that came after the Birds had already designated his return off IR, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. And then moving on, underrated defensive tackle Milton Williams will miss the game with a concussion, and that's a big loss because Williams has honestly kind of been a star for the Eagles this year, ranking second in the NFL in run stop percentage. He's just been overshadowed by the Eagles' other bigger name star defensive tackles, but again, not having him is definitely going to hurt. And now in other injury news, the Eagles have officially activated Quez Watkins from IR to the active roster, so he'll make his return this week after not playing since week 5 versus the Rams. But then getting to the most surprising name on this list, DeVonta Smith just appeared on the injury report on Friday, as he seems to have suffered a new knee injury. And this was an especially big scare for fans such as myself because we had heard nothing of this injury, and then all of a sudden Smith just appeared on the injury report, and it kept him out of the Birds' final practice of the week. Now luckily he's not listed as out for the game, and according to John Clark, he's gonna play, but still nonetheless, I'm curious to find out more information on what exactly happened, and it'll also be something to watch during the game. I mean, is the injury gonna affect him at all? I certainly hope not, but at least he is gonna play because the Eagles need him, and they'd really miss him if he's out. And someone who the Birds have missed pretty much all season is slot cornerback Avonte Maddox, as he's been out since week 2 after suffering a serious pec injury that was initially expected to keep him out for the whole year. But we recently got a shocking update regarding his injury status that makes it seem like he might actually have a shot to return this year. So don't worry, we're gonna get to that and a lot more in just a minute, but real quick, I want to say if you are enjoying this video or finding it informative in any way, and you're part of the 75% of people that hasn't done so already, make sure you go down, subscribe, and turn on notifications very importantly. That way you don't miss when any of these videos are uploaded. I really think that's a win-win for the both of us. I get more people watching the videos, and you don't miss any other Eagles content just like this. And also, while you're at it, drop a like down on the video. I would greatly appreciate it. And now with that being said, let's get back into the video. Now, the Birds have clearly missed Maddox in the slot ever since he went out with the injury, as since then the Eagles have had a lot of rotation at that position while trying to fill his void, and they seem to have finally stabilized it a bit with Roby getting healthy, but still, I think we can all agree that we'd like to have Maddox healthy, and recently, we got some hope that he may actually be able to return at some point this year, as Nick Sirianni gave this shocking update on Maddox's injury status during his Friday press conference.
Does he have a chance of coming back, or especially if they do the playoffs?
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. He's working hard. He's working really hard to be able to, and we'll see. I'd hate to put a timetable on him of that and say, hey, yeah, we're expecting him back, and then he doesn't make it, or vice versa. So day by day, we'll see.
So that at least sounds a little promising that Maddox could return this year. And on top of that, EJ Smith reported that, quote, something worth noting, Avonte Maddox is going through stretches in street clothes. Nick Sirianni said earlier that he wouldn't rule out Maddox having a chance to return from his torn pectoral injury.
My God, okay, it's happening.
Okay, well, let's slow down, but it's definitely still great to hear that Maddox at least has a shot of coming back. And if he does, that would be amazing because as this Twitter user said, quote, that would be huge, man. He's a top 5 slot corner in the league. So what do you guys think? How likely do you think it is that Maddox actually comes back, and how much do you think he would help this defense? Now, going back to Sirianni's press conference, he was asked about the public reaction to his antics on the sideline after the Chiefs game, and he responded to the criticism by giving an answer that I'm sure all Eagles fans loved.
Yeah, you know, emotions are run high in games, and I give it to the Kansas City fans. They were right. They were rowdy, and they had some good things to say coming in from halftime. They had some good things to say when they would score. Sometimes I don't hear fans all that often. I did in this game. With everything that I am, I'm not gonna hide who I am. I think if you're somebody you're not, that gets seen through by everybody. And so hey, like that was some. I was emotional after the game. That was a little playful back and forth with the Kansas City fans, But again, I tip my hat to them. They aren't Eagles fans. They aren't as good as Eagles fans, but they're good fans, and we heard them, and that's the way it went after the game.
I mean, the guy just is who he is. He's not going to hide who he is, and even if a bunch of whiny fans are going to get upset about it, that's okay, because like he said, if you hide who you are, people are going to see right through it, and I don't see a reason for Nick to hide his emotions or excitement on the sideline or after games at all. I mean, he's just having fun, and it's entertaining to watch, so thumbs up for Sirianni just being who he is, and everyone outside of Philly crying about it. But one thing Philly hasn't been too happy about is offensive coordinator Brian Johnson's play calling, and we talked a lot more about that in my last video, but with all the criticism that he's faced recently, it has caused some of the members of the Eagles, including Jalen Hurts and also Nick Sirianni, to stick up for him, and on Friday, Sirianni took it a step further as he clapped back at the hate Coach Johnson has been getting.
I just think that the criticism the criticism on Brian Johnson, I think that's silly, and I think it's kind of, I don't know, I think it's a very silly take on him that if there is any criticism on him, because I think he's doing a phenomenal job. I think our offense is doing a good job. It's all about, you can look at every stat you want, but do you score as many points and win as many games? That's all it's about, right? We average a half a point less than what we did last year, and we have the same record. So he's done a nice job.
I mean, I don't know. I really like Nick sticking up for his OC, first of all, and he also did make some great points. And these are all things that I've said before. I do think we need to calm down a bit regarding Brian Johnson, because the offense is still one of the best in the league. They're putting up similar numbers to last year, and the Eagles are still obviously winning games. And I think you've also been able to see a clear improvement from Johnson throughout the year, which is why, even though, yes, things have not been perfect whatsoever, I think we need to be a little patient with him. That being said, I don't agree that the criticism isn't warranted, because he definitely has struggled at times, especially with the play calling in certain situations, and those are all things he needs to get better at. But specifically going into this game, the situational play calling and those other things that I mentioned just gotta be better, and hopefully we can really see an improvement on them. Even though it's definitely not going to be easy, because the Bills defense presents a tough test. Their pass defense and secondary is good, so Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, DeVonta Smith, and the guys all have their work cut out for them, but the Bills do have somewhat of a problem stopping the run this year, and with the amount of success that DeAndre Swift had last week, I would really like to see the Eagles commit even more to the run game this week. And if they do that, the offensive line can protect Jalen Hurts better, and the defense plays like last week, I think the Eagles have a really good shot at coming away with the win. So I'm personally going to take the Birds to win by a score of 31-21 this week in the Kelly Greens at home, setting up a huge matchup next week versus the 49ers, where if they win, I feel like they'll have an amazing chance at going ahead and securing the #1 seed. That being said, what do you guys think? Let me know your score predictions for this game down in the comments. And also, again, if you did enjoy this video and want to see others like it coming in the future, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and really importantly, turn on notifications. Also, drop a like on this video down below if you did enjoy it and want to show some support. And if you want to watch another video talking about how Kevin Byard's huge demand actually helped fix some of the Eagles' defensive issues, you can go check this out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.